Okay, you guys, let's get started. We're going to get into some headlines today, as well as Barron Trump's 13-year-old initiation, which was much like Damien's initiation in Omen 2. Wow. Now, let's start with the headlines and then we'll take care of Barron Trump at the end of the show today. So, in 2020, we were warning about Trump loosening the 501c3 guidelines for churches. That video was titled Trump Bringing the Money Back into the Temple. Now, why did I title that video Trump Bringing the Money Back into the Temple? Well, because Jesus threw the money out of the temple, didn't he? He turned over the tables. But yet Trump opened everything up so that there could be money in the churches again. Now, what did this do? Well, if you're right leaning and conservative, like we are, most of us on this channel, you would think that that's a good thing. If you forget what Jesus did, you would think it's a good thing because you would think, oh, well, this is good because we can get people who are elected that are Christian. Well, the problem is, and this is why Jesus threw the money out of the temple. The problem with this is that, first of all, our leaders are not real Christians. That's the first big problem, and pretty much Trump has proven that. But the other problem is what happens when a Democrat is elected and they start throwing money into the temple as well. And that's exactly what happened after Trump kind of changed the guidelines during his first term. All of a sudden, the left was also pouring money into these churches. And this is where we had the rise of the left leaning churches, in which all kinds of things are now part of our Christian religion that shouldn't be in the church. In other words, money corrupts the church. And here we go again. In 2025, the IRS says churches can endorse political candidates in reversal of decades-long precedent. Now, let's see if this article mentions Trump's changes that he made in 2020. It says, in a reversal of decades of legal precedent, the Internal Revenue Service said in court filings on July 7th that churches and other religious 501c3 organizations can endorse political candidates in certain circumstances. Now, in the case of 2020, I specifically remember that I think it was a church that Trump donated to, who then was telling their, maybe you guys can help me remember this, telling of the people that came to their church to vote for Trump. So that was kind of what happened. Now, of course, the rest is history. Trump, quote unquote, did not win the presidency in that year. Biden, of course, won, or so they say, but the precedent was set nonetheless. Let's keep reading here. It says the new position, which was made in a joint filing intended to end a lawsuit brought by a group of high-profile Christian organizations last year, carved out a narrow exception to the Johnson Amendment, which has banned political activity by churches since 1954. So they're going over all this. Let's see what they say, what happened in 2020. When a house of worship in good faith speaks to its congregation through its customary channels of communication on matters of faith in connection with religious services concerning electoral politics viewed through the lens of religious faith, it neither participates nor intervenes in a political campaign within the ordinary meaning of those words, the agency stated in the filing. So, this is insane, right? Oh, let's see if they mention that. Gosh, they don't even mention 2020. Is this weird or what? But it did happen. We all remember, and I did a video on that in 2020. So, the money is back in the temple. This is not good. This opens the church up for further manipulation. Now, let's get into some of these other stories today. The Earth's rotation, they're saying, is speeding up. Well, we know that's not what's really happening. What's more likely that's happening is that they're shaving time off the clocks. I've always had my suspicions about this. We've talked about this over the last decade, haven't we? How the clock in your car can never keep the time, even though it's supposed to be exact and it's supposed to be digital. For some reason, after a month goes by, you have to keep updating the clock in your car. And that tells you something. It tells you that time is not what we think, or that they're able to manipulate the time to whatever they want. And you have to wonder, the Bible even says they shall seek to change times and law. So that means that they could be manipulating our clocks without us even knowing it, with subtle changes, a second here, a second there. But here's what they're saying: Earth's rotation is speeding up for 3 days this summer. Okay, we're supposed to believe this. Technically speaking, these days will be shorter. Planet Earth will spin a little faster on 3 separate days this summer, starting today. This will technically result in shorter days, but the change will be so minuscule you won't even notice. Several milliseconds will be shaved off the 24 hours it takes the Earth to complete a full rotation. Why is the Earth's rotation speed changing? Planet Earth is our timekeeper, but it's not perfect. Okay, so now all of a sudden time is not perfect. All the way up until this second in history, they told us time was irrefutable, right? So think about this. When you extrapolate this back thousands of years, we could be talking days or even months of time being off, according to them. So interesting times, you guys. Now, if you haven't heard by now, let's get into this next story. Trump will be marking all of the newborn babies. They will receive the mark. What am I talking about? Well, his big, beautiful bill, the 666, included these baby Trump accounts. Pretty soon, every newborn American will be the proud owner of their own Trump account. President Trump's sprawling tax law creates a new tax advantage investment account, pre-funded with $1,000 for each child born from the beginning of 2025 through the end of 2028. Kids born before this year are eligible for an IRA-style accounts, but not the $1,000 seed money. The idea is, backers say, accounts are a way to get all kids into saving and investing early in life while helping them save for goals like college or home. But financial advisors who spoke with Yahoo Finance warned that aside from the free seed money, the benefits the accounts offer are relatively paltry compared to other tax-shielded savings options Americans already have available, including the 529 accounts parents use to put away money for college and IRAs for retirement. Now, this is crazy. Remember, in Omen 3, Damien was fascinated with children. He actually possessed this child and had the child following the priest around. So now we have Trump obsessed with children in weird ways, like money. This is kind of random, isn't it? A savings account in the big, beautiful bill for children. It's a little bit weird. Like there's a million other things you could do to help families and children rather than locking them into the beast system and locking them into investment. Now, I have a little bit different take on this whole saving of money thing. I don't believe in investing. I haven't invested in a 401k in decades. I don't believe in it. I think it's a Ponzi scheme. I think when you're saving this money and you're making gains on it, all you're doing is giving that money to them so that they can invest and make more money on it. When you go to pull this money out, they tax you again. And I've long believed you're much better off just either stacking cash or putting it in a regular old bank account. And yeah, you're going to get a little bit of interest off of that, but you're not going to have to pay nearly as much taxes. Then you know the money's safe. You know that the stock market can't take a dive and take away all your money. In other words, it's a Ponzi scheme. That's just my opinion. I don't want to be taxed on money that I've saved my whole life. I don't want to have money stacked up that I don't know where the stock market's going to be at a particular time in history when I'm ready to take that money out. And now I haven't always felt that way. I used to believe in the stock market and believe in the monetary system. But here we are on the verge of digital currency, on the verge of excess spending in our government, on the verge of bankruptcy of our retirement. You can't trust this monetary system. So those are just my personal feelings about all that. Now we have Trump's signature, his mark on these baby bonds, which is just creepy. Now, what else is going on? Did you guys see this wind event in Vegas? This was crazy. I got some video for you here. See if this plays. Check this out.
Mira, 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 mira. Oh, mierda. Salió el mismo día que iba a salir los al cielo de hoy.
Oh boy, someone's gonna probably call ICE on these people. Look at this.
Mira, 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 mira. Oh, mierda.
Whoa.
Mira, 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 mira. Oh, mierda.
That's insane, isn't it?
So I only died 4 times.
So this is what was going on in Vegas 6 days ago. Now, some people went on TikTok and showed how those power poles were blown down for miles on that road in Vegas. Did you guys see this? And at first they didn't know what it was, but obviously you saw that dash cam footage of a wind event that happened. And we're supposed to believe all this is normal, right? As those poles were just snapped off for miles. Shocking, says Sheldon. Pun intended, right? Those guys are lucky that they didn't get lit up, so to speak. Now, good morning, everybody. Checking in with you guys. Did you guys hear about Steve Bannon? Now they're saying he was in the Epstein file. Everybody's in the Epstein files. You guys, this is going crazy. Elon Musk has Steve Bannon is in the Epstein files. Elon Musk has escalated his feud with Steve Bannon by claiming that he was named in the Epstein files. Donald Trump's Justice Department, blah, blah. You can't even read this. It's just silly. It's just silly. And then you've got Dushowitz and Steve Bannon. Dushowitz says he knows Epstein's client list names, but I'm bound by confidentiality. Oh, of course he's going to say that, right? This guy was all over the Epstein files. And he was named by the poor woman that is no longer with us, Jeffrey. But yet nothing ever happens to these people. So here he is trying to fall on the right side of history now that the files are gone and he knows they're gone. Alan Dushowitz on Thursday said he knows the list of the names in the Epstein files regarding alleged clients in his international sex trafficking ring. I know the names of the individuals. I was one of them. I know why they were being suppressed. I know who's suppressing them. It's me. He said during on an appearance in the Sean Spicer show, but I'm bound by confidentiality from a judge and cases, and I can't disclose what I know. He added, noting at one point he was falsely named as a client. They're just reimagining this whole thing. And people are upset about this, but no one's going to do anything because everybody still falls in the right-left paradigm. They'll say, well, at least it's better. Look at what Biden got away with. Who cares? Biden got away with, this is how people think. They don't understand that they're all working together. Unbelievable. Now, I don't know if you guys have been following this particular case. This is weird. This guy apparently, allegedly killed like 3 or 4 of his own daughters on some kind of camping trip up in Idaho. Did you guys hear about this? Well, now they're saying that the person that they thought that they were tracking up in these mountains was a look-alike, like a doppelganger. And here we are in this age of twinning and doppelgangers, all this stuff that we've exposed about all this. And now they're saying they had the wrong guy. So they were on a goose chase. Federal authorities end Idaho search for suspect in kid's death after finding a look-alike hiker. Wow. Now let me get you caught up on this story in case you hadn't been following it. Federal authorities in Idaho say they have ended a search in Sawtooth National Forest after determining it was all a case of mistaken identity. Search began Saturday after the U.S. Marshal Service Greater Idaho Fugitive Task Force said a family reported they saw a man who looked like Travis Decker, who was wanted in connection with the deaths of his three daughters in Washington state. He's been wanted since June 2nd. You guys, they've been looking for this guy forever. When a sheriff deputy in Washington found his truck and the bodies of the three daughters, this is just heartbreaking. 9-year-old Peyton, 8-year-old Evelyn, and 5-year-old Olivia at a campground outside of Leavenworth, Washington. The discovery came 3 days after he failed to return the girls to their mother's home in Wenatchee, about 100 miles east of Seattle, following a scheduled visit. Family was near a Bear Creek area campsite when they saw a man who was the same height and roughly the same weight as Decker and also had similar hair, beard, and tattoos on his arm and calf. Additional tips follow. So they were on a goose chase, or so they say. You never know what the truth is with these stories, but this is crazy. They're still looking for the guy, but they've ended the search. They were looking for the wrong guy. Now, the big beautiful bill has passed to the 666 bill, and now they're saying, let's see if this is what is this. We'll see here. Okay, now they're saying that ICE is going to go warp speed with these deportations. Billions, tens of billions of dollars now pouring into ICE. They're going to hire a bunch of people. They're going to basically go off the rails and build a bunch of detention centers. All this was included in the bill.
Nation's promise has been money because those immigration raids and investigations, the ones happening all across the U.S. that we've been showing you, they cost a lot of money. But now the Trump administration, because they know it, well, they passed the big, beautiful bill. It's giving billions more to ramp up those deportation efforts. So we'll talk about how it's going to work. But let's
now understand that these ICE agents essentially look like Taliban. They've got face covers. They're armed to the teeth, vests. Some of them you don't even know if they're cops or not because they're not clearly marked. And this is happening in America because we want the illegals deported. We're allowing this because we want the illegals deported, but this will become our reality. Now, has this started happening? Absolutely, it has. They just raided 2 cannabis farms literally in the hours after the bill passed. Here's the LA Times. Immigration raid on cannabis farms lead to violence. There was one ICE officer shot. This was in Camarillo and Carpinteria. According to this article, when ICE showed up, there were huge groups of people that started converging on the scene. They used non-lethal weapons. There was a huge standoff as people were trying to defend the people from being deported. And what ended up happening? Well, somebody shot at one of the officers. You guys, this is a hot mess. And this is at a dispensary, not a dispensary, but a farm where they're growing cannabis. The last place you'd think a raid would happen. And what I would like to see, okay, so let's show you guys. For those of you that live in this area, it's called the Glass House Factory, which obviously is a play on the pipe you would use, I guess, to maybe smoke cannabis. I don't know what the play of words is on that, but this is crazy. Literally popping off all throughout California with these raids on several cannabis farms. And chaos ensuing. Here are the pictures. And you got to ask yourself, what's really at play here? What's really at play with all this chaos, surveillance, and everything else? Wow, just insane. Never thought I'd see the day. Never thought I'd see the day. Now, let me check in with you guys, and then we're going to get into data centers popping up everywhere. Now, all of a sudden, people are waking up to it's too late now. We warned about this years ago. These data centers popping up everywhere. Told you the electric kingdom is not going away. And now, all of a sudden, people are complaining about the water being polluted and the electricity bills through the roof. I'm going to cover that story next. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Marcy, Bearju, Betty, Sheldon, Rebecca, Rod Jones. Thanks, you guys, for showing up. Let's take a look. Now, all of a sudden, people are complaining, but it's too late. I can't drink the water. Life next to a U.S. data center. Look at this. She can't drink the water. Beverly Morris retired in 2016. She thought she had found her dream home, a peaceful stretch of the rural Georgian surrounded by trees and quiet. Today, it's anything but just 400 yards. Look at this. 366 meters. They put this in here. This is gaslighting. From her porch in Mansfield, Georgia, sits a large windowless building filled with servers, cables, and blinking lights. Did anybody ask for this? Life was just fine before all this. Why do they have to do this? Why is this technology being forced on us? Our internet's fast enough. We have enough data. It's them. They are the ones that want more of the data because data is control. And they don't care about the localities that oppose these data centers. They're going to push it through no matter what. There's nothing you can do to oppose this happening. That's not freedom. I thought we lived in a republic, democracy, to where you could vote these things away if they were coming into your area, but apparently you can't. Doesn't matter how many, doesn't matter if 99% of the people oppose it, they're gonna push it through. Let's keep reading. It says it's a data center, one of many popping up across small town America. Notice they're putting it in these rural areas where we're trying to get away from all this. And around the globe to power everything from online banking to artificial intelligence tools like ChatGPT. This is what I told you these data centers were going to be used for, to control the rest of us. Project Gotham, artificial intelligence, Palantir. Now taking all of this data and determining if you are likely to commit a crime. Pre-crime. Here we are. It's happening now. Let's keep reading. I can't live in my home with half of my home functioning and no water. I can't drink the water. She believes the construction of the center, which is owned by Meta, Facebook, disrupted her private well, causing excessive buildup of sediment. And this is true because these data centers need lots and lots and lots of water. Now, you can imagine that nobody would want a data center to be built in their neighborhood, but yet they use division. They use the right-left paradigm to still push these things through. So this poor woman who's retired, thought she had the dream life, now hauls the water in buckets to flush her own toilet, even though she's on a well. She says she had to fix the plumbing in her kitchen to restore water pressure, but the water that comes from the tap still has residue in it. I'm afraid to drink the water, but I still cook with it, brush her teeth in it. Meta, however, says the two aren't connected. Well, of course they're going to say that. They've got billions of dollars worth of lawyers. They're going to say whatever they want to still push it through. Meta said that being a good neighbor is a priority. No, that's absolutely not true because they would have never built the data center to begin with if they were a good neighbor, right? Company commissioned an independent groundwater study to investigate more concerns. This is more gaslighting. Oh, let us look into it. Let us look into it to see. Right? And then they'll drag this on until this poor woman is probably on her deathbed. And then they'll finally pay her some money, or they won't. Or they say they're going to pay her money, but then they'll wait till she dies and she'll never get any money. According to the report, its data center operation did not adversely affect groundwater conditions. Of course, they're going to say that. This was my perfect spot, she says, but it isn't anymore. Look at this monstrosity. Nobody is asking for these places. Nobody, except rich billionaires. Thanks, Trump. Now, does anybody think that these data centers are good? I would like to hear. Well, let's do a poll. We haven't done a poll in a while, have we? Okay, let's do a poll. Let's just see. Okay, because obviously we have a certain demographic on this channel, but so most of us would probably oppose something like this, but let's just for giggles, right? See here. Um, can you think of any reasons why a data center would be would be a positive thing? Okay, there's the poll. Let's start the poll. Less than a minute to go in the round. Okay, sorry. Having a little fun today. Golly. Right? You guys, somebody wake me up out of this nightmare. Now, what else is going on? Let's get into Barron Trump. Let's let this poll ride for a little bit. Let's get into Barron Trump. Now, before we get into Barron, here's what the controllers tell us. We have to beat China. We have to be competitive. But that's why we need 5G, 6G, and beyond. And that's why we need data. So we can be competitive on the world market. They sound like a bunch of third graders, don't they? We got to be competitive. Well, have you ever asked us what we want? We don't want to be competitive. We just want to live our lives. We want to have real jobs again. They can pay to support a family and have a home. Right? They've completely flipped the script on the family unit. Men are no longer breadwinners to support their families and have the wife with the children. Now, all that's looked down upon now. If you've looked around, you're seeing a lot less children being born. It's unbelievable, you guys. It's all directly opposed to the Bible. Now, you can say, oh, well, Casey, the Bible, that was a different time. We didn't have technology back then. Times have changed. Well, I don't agree with that. All right, you guys, let's get into the bizarre Barron Trump matrix. Now, if you're just catching up to all this, there's something strange happening with Barron Trump. Definitely some kind of witchcraft going on. His birthday, we had already discovered his birthday was the date that Omen 3 came out, March 20th. We found some other crazy synchronicities with Barron and his sister Tiffany, born 13 years apart. She was born on October 13th, which is the mirror date of Barron Trump's birthday on the calendar. Exact mirror date. And she's 31, which is the opposite of 13. This is getting weird. Now, remember, his first TV appearance was on Oprah Winfrey 57 days after he was born. 57 and 19 times 3 is 57, and he's 19 right now. I know that was a number sandwich, but there's more. Remember in Omen 2, Damien celebrated his 13th birthday, and it was an initiation birthday ritual. And his handler in that movie told him this. He goes, you are now a man. You got to put away childish things. This is an initiation. So I decided yesterday to go down a rabbit hole, try to figure out what this was all about. Because I thought, there cannot possibly be a connection between Damien and his 13th birthday and Barron Trump and his 13th birthday. But absolutely there was. In the movie Damien, Omen 2, Damien Thorne, the Antichrist, turns 13 years old and learns about his destiny. And there's like a party and everything. You guys saw that. We covered that. So I went down the rabbit hole and I found something shocking. It was Barron's 13th birthday that Melania Trump decided to start tweeting images of his birthday. Mylar balloons. When did she start doing this? It started on his 13th birthday with this golden Mylar balloon, almost as if it was an initiation. And I could not find any balloons before this that she tweeted. It started on his 13th birthday, a gold balloon, almost as if he was being crowned. Now, notice the time on this. 2:13 12:31 p.m. 31 is the opposite of 13, and it's also the age of his sister, his half-sister, I guess. 31:13. So I kept digging. And again, on his 14th birthday, she tweeted out a silver Mylar balloon. And finally, on his 15th birthday, she tweeted a black balloon. At 2:15 a.m. the following day after his birthday. And of course, the 15 is his birthday, the age he turned, literally in the timestamp. Understand that if she would have tweeted this 1 minute later at 2:16 a.m., 6 times 6 times 6 is 216. Now, her tweet got some backlash online. People were upset about this. They said it was dark. They said something is wrong here. Let's take a look.
Has wished her son Barron a happy 15th birthday on social media, but somehow Twitter has found a reason to mock her for this. Melania posted a heavily filtered photo of balloon numbers 15 and captioned the image, "Happy birthday BWT," alongside 3 heart emojis. The public post received a pretty mixed reaction from Twitter users, with some people accusing the choice of the photo of being quite morbid and a strange choice. Lewis wrote, "Even the birthday picture is all dark sepia tones. Very strange, lol." Ziggy wrote, "Melania dear, you could have found a more cheerful pic. This looks quite morbid, but perhaps that's how you/he feels." Frederick wrote, "Kind of depressing. Should have been a more livelier photo with ice cream, cake, balloons and lots of rainbows." And Patricia wrote, "Wow, that is a very dark meme for a birthday. Very bad vibe to it." But thankfully, others defended Miss Trump, saying it was unnecessary criticism from Donald Trump haters and the post was just a...
So the right-left paradigm wins again, with them now accusing anybody who opposes Trump as being black-pilled. See how this works? Now, I'm not making any assumptions about this. I'm just looking at all of the connecting dots. How she decided to first start posting these balloons on his 13th birthday, not his 12th birthday, not his 10th birthday, his 13th birthday. And the last time was his 15th birthday. So we have 3. And each time she tweets 3 hearts. That's a little bit spooky and it's a little bit organized, isn't it, on an occult level? And so it begs a lot of questions. Even the time that these things were tweeted out at all seem to line up together. Wow. So what are your guys' thoughts on this? Are we on to something here? Or is this all in our heads? So about 10% of you think that there are some good reasons to put more and more data centers in rural areas, ruin people's groundwater, increase their electricity costs because these data centers chew up about 10% of all of electricity use in the United States. Oh, okay. I guess those people won't be thumbsing up today's video. To me, there's absolutely no reason to put additional data centers. It's not like our population is growing by the amount of data centers that are being put in. And it's just more and more and more control, stealing more and more jobs from Americans. What are we going to do when there's no jobs? When everything's controlled by AI and robots, what are people going to do for a living? Not everybody can be a doctor or a lawyer. I guess teachers are out now too, because children could learn online now. Through a computer, they don't even need a teacher anymore. I don't get it. I don't understand why people want their own destruction. It makes absolutely no sense to me. Now, if you're at a different point in life where you're retired, even this can touch you. Even though you've already lived your life and got all of the benefits of being able to have a real job and not being surveilled this still can touch your life because one of these data centers could pop up next to where you live, like that woman in the article we just read, and ruin your life still. So I'm back in the chat, you guys. Yep, the AI teachers are already happening. Now, if you didn't know this, if your children are in school now, pretty much the teacher's just there to watch them. They're just there to supervise. They stick a tablet in front of your child and they have these things that they go through. So teachers are speaking less than they ever have in the history of teaching. They just stick a computer in front of your child. So the computer's already essentially teaching our children. So I guess we get what we asked for, right? I guess we get what we asked for. All right. I'm in the chat, you guys. Good morning. Teachers were always babysitters, says Miguel Agrilla. You know, teachers used to be mentors. I remember some of my teachers from 6th grade. Oh, I had a teacher. I got abused once by a teacher. I'll tell you that story. So I grew up Jehovah Witness, right? So what a terrible position to put your child in, to have to go to school and get humiliated by all of your friends because when it's time to celebrate Thanksgiving or Christmas, you get put in a room. Or when someone has a birthday party, you get put in a room. I remember like the teachers would sneak me cake. They're like, don't tell your mom. And they would sneak me a piece of cake. And I would sit there and look at it and not even eat it. That's how brainwashed I was. And then now I don't recognize the holidays now as an adult for different reasons. Okay. Because they're all cult holidays, but the witnesses don't really teach you all that when you're a child. And I don't think a child should have to like kind of go through that because this world, it's like trying to fight the tide. It's like they almost need to grow up in it themselves and figure it out for themselves, like I did, right? When you get older, when you don't care about scrutiny and you're not made to feel different. But anyway, growing up as a JW child, I was, man, it was crazy. Like, I don't think my mom knew what was going on in school. So I had this teacher. She's probably passed away since then. She was my 2nd grade teacher. Her name was Mrs. Castaneda. And it was time to salute the flag. And as you guys know who are Jehovah's Witnesses, children aren't allowed to salute the flag. Well, I got my first dose of angry patriots, right? You don't salute the flag. You're not submitted to this country. And that teacher grabbed me and grabbed my arm, like almost dislocated my arm and drug me out by my arm outside and was yelling at me. Maybe her husband was like a veteran or something. I don't know. I mean, I don't blame the lady. I almost blame my mom for putting me in that position. In 2nd grade, be terrorized by this large woman who had like a demon face. That's what I remember. She had the angriest face she made at me, like she wanted to choke me. And for those of you that live in Stockton, it was Elkhorn, uh, what was it called? Elkhorn Elementary School. This is the school where this happened at. I have a pretty good memory from my childhood, you guys. It's insane. I actually remember before I was even able to walk, I told my mom, she can't even believe it. She thinks there's some kind of Mandela effect. I go, no, Mom, I remember the floor. I described the floor to her. She goes, that's impossible, son. You were like 7 months old when we left that house. I'm like, well, I remember it. But anyway, back to this story about me being attacked by my teacher. So anyway, I went home and told my mom, and my mom came back to that school and she went bananas on the school and the teacher for like basically like roughing me up. I was roughed up. I was terrorized. So that's the story of that. I don't even know why I told that story. Oh, we were talking about school and stuff. Anyway, well, what else is going on, you guys? Roughed up by the teacher. I used to eat, you guys used to eat like paste? I used to eat paste because it was like minty. Why would you make paste minty and then have all these projects where you use paste, right? We would just cut things out and like paste them on things. I was like, wow, this is kind of fun. And this stuff smells really good. I'm going to eat some of it. And I was like, whoa, do you guys remember the paste? I think they cooked that stuff up in the back or something. And it like smelled minty. And then I found out it was made out of horse hooves, or at least that was the rumor. So I was literally eating horse in like second grade and first grade. Not the glue. The glue is disgusting. I'm talking about the paste. For those of you that are in your 50s, you remember the paste. Oh my gosh. Carol remembers. Oh, it was paste. They called it paste. Not glue. The glue is disgusting. Don't ever. I think I tried eating Elmer's once because I thought, if the paste tastes good, maybe the glue tastes better. And then, no, not so much. Yeah. Jamie remembers the paste. Remember? It came in, they gave them out in these little cups. The teacher would smear this paste into the cups, like a little cup. And then she gave you like a tongue depressor. And that's what you had to use to like paste things together. And we would make like turkeys. We would make like, the turkey was the best because you get like a paper plate. See, this is the stuff we used to do in school, you guys. There were no computers. We would get a paper plate and then we would cut out feathers of a turkey and then cut the little edges to make it feathery. And then you paste them on and then the teacher would post them all around the room. It's fun to go back in time, isn't it? Those are the days. Remember dodgeball? Yeah, they literally, okay, so back in school in the 70s and 80s, they literally painted dodgeball court lines on the blacktop of school. And we would play dodgeball. And they had those big blue and red, like rubbery balls. And we would just chuck them at each other. And my favorite thing to do was I had this move where I would like stand right at the line of the opposing team and they would throw the ball and I would jump up like Bruce Lee and spread my legs and the ball would go underneath my legs. But one time I didn't jump high enough and it hit me in the dodgeballs. Anyway, yeah. Remember the cakewalk? Did you guys have cakewalks? That's when school was fun. That's when I woke up and I wanted to go to school. The cakewalk was that was in the circle. And they would put cakes and you'd walk around. If you landed on the cakes, you get to take a cake home. We had carnivals and everything. They don't do any of that anymore. You guys, literally, they're stealing all the fun out of life. Maybe we'll go back to that. I don't think so. The Bible doesn't say we will. But at least we have the memories, right? Lawn darts. Oh, yeah. Killer lawn darts. Can you believe that was a thing? Where you could actually throw like a missile with a point on it and play it as a game with kids. It was only a matter of time before someone got killed by that, right? My gosh. But magically, everybody survived. Field day. Yes, field day, says Vic. Yeah, that's what they called it. Field day. It was like a carnival. So, yeah, schools look like jails now. Yeah, you literally talk about an open campus. Like anybody could walk onto, but everybody just knew that you didn't do that. There was school in session. They didn't have cameras. It was wide open. Okay, let me ask you guys this. Okay, we're going to do a dream. Okay, well, this is going to be fun. Okay, I'm giving up all the goods today. All right, this is going to be fun. We're going to start a poll. We're going to talk about recurring dreams. I had this recurring dream. Have you ever had the dream? Let's just see how this works. So I was always curious. Now that all of you guys are here, let's talk about recurring dreams to see if we've all shared these dreams. Are you ready? This is about school. Let's see if you guys know what I'm thinking right now. Okay, about this recurring dream about school. Let's see if anybody Let's just tell me what you think I'm about to say about a recurring dream about school, about grade school. Let's see, let's see who gets the answer. Then I'll ask the questions. I'm just curious. Recurring dream about high school lockers, says Cheryl. No, that's yes, Kim got. That's crazy. Have you ever had a dream where up you showed up to school naked? That's exactly what I was going to say. Oh my gosh, this is so crazy. Or you only have a little bit of clothes on, like you're not properly dressed, like you're just in your underwear and you're like looking for clothes. Okay, let's see how many of you have had this recurring dream because this is shocking. Like, what is the mechanism behind this? How are these dreams being put into our heads? Oh my gosh. Wow. About 2/3 of you have had this recurring dream. And it's always grade school. I don't know if I've had that dream in high school dream. E17 says, never had that dream. Well, now you're probably going to have it because we talked about it. Yes, Jamie says half dressed. Yes, like you're just in your underwear. Like you didn't have time to put, no shoes. Exactly. Yes. Oh my gosh, this is so creepy. Someone should do a study on this to figure out what is happening. Like, were these ideas put in our heads somehow? Yeah, MK Ultra. Oh, remember the ear test, the hearing test. Remember that? And they like put these tones in your ear. Like now, knowing everything that we know now, what were they really doing? They're like, can you hear this sound? And they would put these headphones on you and we would go into like a trailer. And they're like, beep, boop, bop. And then like you have to like put your thumb up or something. Oh my gosh, we're going back to grade school, you guys. Heads up, 7-Up. How about that? Remember that? Oh, man. Crazy times, you guys. No shoes means no identity. Wow, that's a good one. So about 2/3 of you have had this recurring dream. Oh, yeah, the GATE program. Yes, Lorraine, I was in the GATE program. I feel like they were monitoring us and the scantrons, and you had to like do all this testing. There was always all this testing in the 80s. Scantron, GATE program. Huh. Casey, we still do that hearing test at work, says Cannons. Whoa. Yeah, like mind control tones or something. Beep. Okay, what else? What other memories do you guys have? Ooh, I had like a witchy teacher one time. I'm not going to say her name. She might still be alive. But I got put into some weird art program. I think I told you guys about this. It was in 8th grade, and I had this witchy art teacher, and she always wore purple. See, now that I'm awake to all this stuff, you look back and you go, whoa, this is crazy. Like, what really happened? Anyway, she took my mom in and she said, I think your son's gifted. And my mom's like, yeah, he's really good at art. She goes, no, you don't understand. Your son is gifted. And my mom's like, okay. And she's like, I'd like to enter him into an art contest. I'm going to take some of his art from the art class. And we're going to try to get him a scholarship to go to summer school for the arts in Valencia, California. And it was almost like she already knew I was going to win. Because I remember the look on her face. It was like she like knew something that I didn't. And so anyway, long story short, she enters a bunch of my work into this contest. And of course I won. And I remember there was a luncheon in Stockton at some place, and like I got a medallion with the name of the senator at the time on it. Some diplomats showed up. This was the first ever what they called the California Summer State School for the Arts, which was a funded program, a state funded program to develop artistic talent in California and to keep this talent in California. Because I guess at that time, a lot of studios were starting to move out of California into other places. So I was in the very first one. This was the 80s. I think it was actually 88, interestingly enough. the year that I was in middle school in 8th grade. Anyway, some famous people later went to the same school. Zac Efron went to this school and a few other people. But this went back a long way, you guys, a long way. So anyway, long story short, I ended up winning and I went to this summer school for, I think it was a month or two during the summer between middle school and high school in Valencia, California. The CSSSA, which now sounds like a serpent. And this is the place I told you guys about where they said we weren't allowed to cut our hair. No one was allowed to cut their hair. There was a memo literally sent out before we got there in the mail, and it said, no clippers allowed. You're not allowed to cut your hair. So creepy, 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 creepy. And then the rest is history. John Lasseter had a room at this school. It was, I believe it was room, was it 237? No, it was, of course, Pixar. Pixar came out of this school as well. But it was the Easter egg that A113, and he hid this. This was an actual room at the California Summer State School for the Arts in Valencia. This is the room where basically Pixar originated out of this very school that I went to. And basically, he hid this Easter egg in all of his movies. All the animations you can find A113. Now we have now since discovered that A113 is adrenochrome, is what it is. That's why I tell you guys, this darkness is everywhere. Remember the decode we did on Toy Story? And Woody was marked in the hand and the forehead. Woody literally had the mark of the beast. He was burned in the forehead with the lens and burned in the right hand. Wow. So, I guess maybe I was meant to do all this. Maybe I was meant to expose this stuff for those that are listening. Maybe my whole life was a journey. Maybe your whole life is a journey to where you're at now. If you think back of all the things that have happened to you, it's a journey. It was like all meant to be for you to be at the exact moment in time that you are now. All right. Fun going back in time, wasn't it? Oh, do you guys remember the emergency bus evacuation day or something? Yeah, we had our dose of terrorizing, didn't we? They would have the alarm day where you had to they would run all the alarms. We all had to run outside and form lines. And then we had the bus emergency day. So we'd all get in a bus and we had to put our hands on the seats and they would slam on the brakes. We'd all headbutt the seat in front of us. Oh my gosh. Going back in time. Now, for the younger people, you're like, what are you all talking about? You guys have lost your minds. This was life back then, you guys, before pagers and cell phones and all this stuff. This life we have, no wonder why our children feel so detached now. No wonder why they feel hopeless, because nothing's real anymore. It's all virtual. Yes, Shalala, we would have to hide under the desk for Earthquake Day. Now, for those of you that are a little bit older than us, you'll remember that you had to hide under your desk during the Cold War before nuclear, because that was the fear back then, that a nuclear bomb from Russia would come and somehow hiding under your desk was going to save you from a nuclear blast, right? Which of course is silly, but there's always been fear. So remember playing Red Rover at recess. Going under the school desk. Yeah, safe from the bombs. Exactly, Cheryl. Tornado Day. We didn't have Tornado Day, but I remember I grew up in California, so There's no tornadoes there, really. Tornado drill. But for those of you in the Midwest, I can imagine. Duck and cover. Yeah, Marcy. Movie Hitman. They were given numbers and not names. Hide the corner if an intruder comes. Whoopee cushions. Oh my gosh, those were the best. Whoopee cushions. Remember you could buy Mexican jumping beans at the corner store? Remember that? Remember penny candy? Penny candy. Literally, you could grab a handful of pennies, go down to the store, and come back with a bag of candy. Not anymore. And yeah, Mexican jumping beans. Oh, you could even buy Venus flytraps at the corner store. My gosh. Oh man. Doing drills was always so annoying to me. Yep. Yeah, I think it was annoying for everybody. Beans and jumping maggots. Yep. You wouldn't even believe this if someone told you, but we're all confirming that we didn't make all this up. Like this was real. Yeah, the sea monkeys. Yeah, what was that? That was where you added water and like something would grow out of it, out of something that looked dead or something, right? Yeah, we had candy cigarettes. Okay, I gotta explain that one. Okay, so back in the day, let's see, 73, I was born, let's see, probably I want to say 1980 is 80, 81. You could literally, a child could go to the store and they literally had a candy that was in a box of cigarettes, but the cigarettes were basically bubble gum, like a wrapped like a cigarette. And you could literally, and it was painted red on the end, so it looked like it was glowing. And you could literally buy this in the store and like smoke it. They also had, I don't know if they still have this, it was jerky, but in a snuff can. So you could put the jerky in your cheek and it was like you were chewing snuff, but it was just jerky. My gosh. Wow. They could do a whole like exhibit. What if someone started a museum with all this stuff in it? That would be a great museum. Like all the memories of the 80s in a museum, an 80s museum with all this stuff in it. You would have to find all this stuff or recreate it because a lot of it doesn't exist anymore. Man, that would be the best museum ever. Talk about nostalgia, man. Candy cigarettes. Yep. They say do not swallow the bubble gum. You guys, I swallowed a nickel one time by accident. For some reason, I like to have money in my mouth. Maybe I took the put your money where your mouth is seriously at like 9 years old. But I would literally have like dimes and nickels. I would like suck on them for some reason. I don't know why. And one time I jumped off the couch and I accidentally swallowed a nickel and it got stuck in my throat. And I looked for it on the other end, never found it. So you got to wonder if I still have a nickel in my body. Hey, at least you could say I'm worth 5 cents. We got to laugh about this stuff, you guys. Jamie sucked on change too. Oh boy, this is getting crazy. Yeah, there was something about it. And now I think about it, that was disgusting. What a disgusting habit. Coins in mouth means you're low on minerals, says Kava. Well, we didn't have much to eat. We used to eat government peanut butter. Back in the day, they had these giant cans of government peanut butter, like huge cans, like coffee can size. And literally, it was enough peanut butter to make you never want peanut butter again. Like there was that much, and they had honey, so they had a giant can of honey, and they had blocks of cheese, and this was all like government stuff. And I think I want to say it was black and white, the whole generic age, and so that's what we had to eat. A lot of mac and cheese, all that stuff. Yeah, I grew up pretty poor. My mom things got better when she got older. My mom, like, she worked for state of California and she kept getting promotions. So by the end of it, my mom was doing pretty well. But, when I was growing up, it was tight. Yep. Yeah, that gross cheese. My gosh. I'm shocked I'm still alive after eating all that nonsense. Okay. How many of you took Wonder Bread and put sugar on it and then, like, knocked the sugar off and ate bread and sugar? How many of you? Okay, let's do a poll. Okay, let's start a poll. We're just having fun at this point, you guys. You can, if you're getting bored, you can leave, but I think this is fun. Okay, did you eat bread and sugar growing? There wasn't a lot around to eat, right? Oh my gosh. There wasn't a lot around to eat. So you just ate what was there. And when you're like 9, you don't really know how to cook. So you're like, sugar, bread. Oh my gosh. Like 3/4 of you ate bread and sugar. But gosh. And that was back in the day where Wonder Bread actually tasted good. You could literally take the Wonder Bread. My favorite thing to do with it was to tear off the edges and ball it up into, like, back into dough almost. Remember that? You can't do that with Wonder Bread now. It doesn't do that. It just falls apart. Literally, you could ball it up into like dough balls and then you eat it and it was just so good. Oh yeah, the cinnamon and sugar. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Ready for this? Here's another one here. And let's end that poll. So about 2/3 of you. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. This is so fun. Okay, how about this? Because I thought I invented this, but let's see if I did. I was like, this is ingenious. Start a poll. Did you ever make Kool-Aid slushies and think you were the first person to come up with it? Let's see how the. 'Cause I thought I invented this, but I could be wrong. Uh, let's see. Let's see. Kool-Aid slushies, the best invention ever. A cup of sugar, a packet of Kool-Aid, and ice. That's all you needed, and a blender. And literally, your summer would be set. Now, unfortunately, I was a little klepto back then because I had no money, right? So my friends and I would go to the corner store and just steal everything we needed. And so we would steal Kool-Aid packets by the dozens and sugar. Sugar was a little bit harder to steal because it's kind of bulky, right? But there was always sugar around for some reason because sugar was so cheap back then, you guys. It was literally $1 for a giant bag of sugar. But somewhere along the line, we got screwed on the sugar, didn't we? Because now it's super expensive. But back then, it was $1 for a giant bag of sugar. So there was always sugar in the house. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I'll let you guys go. I know that it's been kind of a long show, but I just wanted to, end the show with something positive, some fond memories of how the world used to be fun, you know. Now, what would be a great idea? Let's end with even more positivity. If you have children, these might be some of the things that you can do with them to show them that there is fun in the world. Go out and buy Kool-Aid well, now I'm telling people to eat sugar. Well, we're all still alive, right? We grew up on sugar. Remember the Guinness Book of World Record, the lady who ate the most sugar? She literally was pouring it down her throat. I wonder what happened to her. She's probably alive and thriving. Oh gosh. Anyway, I'm just trying to have fun here because maybe we should go out and make Kool-Aid slushies again for our children just to show them that life can be fun. Or maybe we should get out some paste and paste it in some paper plates and do a craft project. Or play dodgeball with your kids, you know? So, yeah, we ate so much sugar and no kids had diabetes. Exactly, Amy. So yeah, Ovaltine. Oh my gosh. Okay, one more. We could go on all day with this stuff. Okay, instant coffee and sugar in a Ziploc bag. I'm like, ooh, everything with sugar tastes better. Instant coffee. Or peanut butter and sugar in a Ziploc bag. But they didn't have Ziplocs back then. They just had the fold over. Remember the fold over bag? Tang. Now they say NASA invented Tang. NASA, that's what they say. Malted milk. Remember Wheatenia? Wheatenia was a breakfast stuff. Oh my gosh. We're like time traveling right now, aren't we? It's like we're there again. uh, rice, butter, and sugar. I don't know that one, Cannons. Peanut butter with Caro syrup, says Rosalie. Oh boy. Cocoa wheat. Yep. Nestle Quick. Lego my Eggo. Yeah, we weren't rich enough to have Eggo waffles for some reason. That was not on the menu for us. I think those were like premium items and all the cold cereal. Like literally my mom would buy like maybe one box of cold cereal per month. And that was our splurge. Other than that, we had to eat Chex. Chex was this nasty cardboard cereal that gave you gas and heartburn. When you're a child and you're getting heartburn from Chex, that's a warning sign that that's probably not good to feed your children, right? Because children aren't supposed to get heartburn. Raisin Bran, like literally, I was blowing up my classroom with because my mom fed me Raisin Bran, and I blew up like a fish, and I would just blow out my classroom. And they're like, "What is that smell?" Uh, the upgrade was rice checks because remember, wheat checks was the cheapest. And by the way, those wheat checks have shrunk over the years. Either that or I've grown. The size of a wheat checks has shrunk tremendously. And they were the nastiest thing ever. It's like, who made this? And literally, you would have to just douse it with sugar to make it even edible. And so, so the upgrade was the rice checks because that was delicious. Like little bit of sugar on that. Oh my gosh, I would just go to heaven. But then don't run out of milk. Because if you run out of milk, it's over. Like I've never wanted anything so bad in my life. You open the refrigerator and you look inside and there's no milk and there's nothing you can do. You can't add, or if there's like a little tiny bit of milk, you can't add water to it. You can't use water. You just have to have milk. And it's just like your whole morning is ruined with no milk. And then you try to borrow milk, but that was cringy. I look back, we would literally borrow milk and sugar from the neighbors. They were always nice about it, but you can't get away with that now. That's like begging. We'd show up with a cup at the door. Knock, 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 knock. No one answers the door. You don't even think to yourself, oh, they could be sleeping in. You're just like, no, I'm going to keep knocking until I get my sugar or my milk. You guys remember that? Oh, go borrow some from the neighbors. That used to be a thing. Now you can't borrow stuff from neighbors anymore. Doesn't work like that. Oh my gosh. It's just fun times, you guys. Yeah, bring back the good old days. They're probably going to make whole like retreats. Can you imagine like an 80s retreat? Oh, that's a great idea. I'm giving you guys some good business ideas. So we got the 80s museum and then we got the 80s retreat. So you go to this place and it's like streets. It's like a whole neighborhood, right? And there's like bikes. Like okay, you can't just put the bikes on the street. You got to put them at people's houses, right? And then like it's all 80s houses and you knock on the door and you can go into these different houses and it's got everything in there: the cereal, the government cheese, the mac and cheese. It's got the old TVs in it where you had to use the pliers to turn the channel, and you put a hanger on the back to get reception. And it's got all the old channels. You turn on the TV, and it's got bunk beds in the rooms. Oh, that I would go to that retreat. I would just stay there. I would never come home. Oh man. Gosh, that would make a ton of money, right? You just have one street, and you get to go and like sleep in the beds and turn on the TV, watch the Labreeze water beds at night. Oh my gosh. There's VCRs everywhere in dodgeball courts. uh would you guys go to something like that? I would. Get up and change the channel. Yeah, they always made us go change the channel. It was just understood that the child would have to change the channel as the adult sat on the couch. And then the knobs would always break, and you had to use pliers. And they didn't even have vice grips back then, so you had to just literally use like pliers. I'm shocked that no one got shocked. Oh gosh. So that was my childhood. Now, even though I grew up Jehovah's Witness, for some reason my mom let me watch Frosty the Snowman, the animation. Oh, and she also let me watch The Hobbit. And now I look back, I'm like, that stuff was kind of demonic. For some reason, that was our little splurge. Okay, turn it on. And we'd sit there and watch Frosty the Snowman is a money happy snow. And then at the end, like he would melt. Remember that? And then we would watch Good Times and everything. I was like, oh, Good Times and Rerun and all that stuff. Oh man, funny. All right, I guess we should get off here now because we could go on all day with this nostalgia stuff. I love you guys, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And thanks for showing up. I guess I'll see you guys. Today's Friday, probably Sunday. We'll be back on here. Have a great rest of your day, you guys. Much love.